All right, guys, thank you so much for joining for another episode of the Calcioteers. Ben and I are welcoming another guest on the show, Fabrizio from Genoa, Toronto. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I gotta say, I gotta applaud you for just the great results from Genoa, just really surprising us. Like even Elliot was saying, it was like, wow, like where's Genoa come from? Like honestly, obviously, but the Inter game didn't work out in your guys' favor. It is what it is. I was really hoping for that tie, but we will talk about that game shortly. Elliot, let's start off with the Roma and Braga game, second leg. I didn't think we were going to talk about it, but I know you had some kind of points you want to talk about. So if you want to start off with that and see how you think of the game, I think it was a great game. What'd you think about it?
No, I thought it was good. I think, I mean, more so it's just kind of looking forward. But, I like the fact that Dzeko played again and scored again. Unfortunately, he got injured in that game, which is unfortunate just for the fixtures that Roma have coming up in the Europa League and in league play. But it was a pretty simple victory. I didn't think we were going to score as many. I thought we were just going to kind of score a few early goals and then just hold it out. But it turned out to be really good. Dzeko scored, and Moriel came off the bench and scored again. And Carlos Perez, who is my least favorite player in Roma right now, scored.
Which is
Um,
surprising because like we
yeah,
thought he was going to do some damage. Literally, like I thought he was going to do some good stuff there, but apparently not.
yeah. I thought out of the two that came to us last January, I thought he was going to be the fine, not VR, which is it's been the polar opposite. Um, No, but it was a good game. It wasn't. There's not too much to take away from it. Just the fact that we got through, going to the next round. Shakhtar, we drew on that Friday for the round of 16, and I loved it actually because I'm not under the mentality that I want the weakest team. I want the strongest team possible because if you're really going to, say, oh, we're going to go and challenge and win the Europa League, I don't want to be playing teams that we can beat easily. I want a challenge. And Shakhtar play open, but they're a great counterattacking team, and I think it'll be the right test. And with the usual suspects not in the competition, my thought is if we can beat Shakhtar and do it convincingly, then I'm not afraid of Arsenal. I'm not afraid of United or Milan, whoever wins that one. I just feel very confident with that. And based on how the league has gone, especially with our form against the big teams, I'm probably the only person that feels this way. I would rather prioritize the Europa League over the league. I mean, I don't want to finish like eighth, but if we can do our best and try to finish in the top five, top six in Italy, and then look like the favorites in the Europa League. I mean, that's sort of my whole mentality because I think winning the Europa League and finishing fifth is better than finishing fourth and winning nothing. We haven't wanted anything for a very long time. I just want to see that trophy and the Dzeko thing. It's been a little bit toxic between the fan base
Yeah.
and him and the club. I've always
Yeah.
loved Dzeko, so I'd at least like to his departure be not in a sour taste and helping him. Like I'm not saying give him the armband back, but if we could win with him as our starting striker, the Europa League, and then he leaves, it's more of like a pretty exit. But for me, I'm just looking at Shakhtar as being a challenge. I think this is not going to be like Braga. It's going to be a two-leg situation that could be defined by moments. Fonseca obviously coached at Shakhtar, so maybe he has some secrets.
Yeah.
But I feel good about going into that game. I think we'll win, but I think it'll be really challenging, and I want it to be as difficult as it possibly can. But us still going through because my thought is the more difficult the match is, the less there's less to be feared in the following matches in the Europa League. And but young boys knocked out Leverkusen, so I have the
Which
only
was shocking. Which
yeah
was shocking.
the only team that I think can beat us in the Europa League if we give everything is Man United, and so I'm hoping I don't have to. I'm hoping someone takes out Man United, but equally I'd like to see Man United Roma. Chris Smalling, 90th minute goal to win the Europa League.
Yeah, that would be magical.
Yeah,
That would
so
be magical for
no, so
sure.
it's good. I'm glad we're through. I didn't think Braga challenged us enough, so I'm really looking forward to the Shakhtar challenge. But I don't really have any complaints. We just need more health at center back. We need Smalling back. We need Abanez back, and we need Kumbula back. But if as long as injuries don't run in the way, I think we should be feeling pretty good about ourselves going forward into the round of 16.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, no, and that's totally right. Obviously, I mean, when we move on to Napoli, it was kind of dicey to begin with the first leg. I felt like it was kind of game over for them to begin with. We kind of spoke about this last episode. Second leg, I mean, I wasn't surprised. Yeah, they Napoli kind of pushed hard a little bit there, but it just obviously didn't work out in their favor. So, what do you guys think? Kind of fast forward to Champions League. What do you guys think of the Atlanta and Real Madrid game? Like Real Madrid coming into this game with like pretty much not half their squad depleted, but like a good solid number of
A
players
third at least.
depleted. Yeah, it was crazy. So, what do you guys think about it? Was it kind of like do you guys think that Atlanta was going to give Real a tough time regardless, or Real were going to still come up on top? I mean, what do you guys think? What was kind of your point of view in that game?
Well, from my perspective, if I may start, always from Atalanta, I can always expect. I'm not always. I should say that I'm expecting a lot from them. Why? Because I have some personal experience, not personal, but from a Genoa standpoint, experience from Gasperini. So I know what he can bring to the table. And actually, I'm not only the only one. At this point, we all know what he can bring to the table. The only problem with Gasperini, as we all know, that sometimes when he needs to bring it to the table, he lacks in that experience that he's gaining, of course, and we're seeing it year after year. But maybe he's a great strategic guy. So when he gets that strategy in place, he can kill the game. Personally, I think that the big lack at this game was lack on his strategy. So he didn't win the match himself. He didn't guess it well, basically. That was my take on it.
Mhm. And can we? Would you guys think about the penalty now before anybody attacks me or anything like that? I got thrown to like the gears thrown at me when I said it was a penalty. The only reason why I said it was a penalty, now it was a little bit harsh. I got to admit it. I got to admit it. And forget about the rule that Mendy wasn't on a breakaway. There were still players inside the box. It was the motion of the player as free girl, whatever his name was, just the motion, just he clipped him from the back. The motion, it was just like a pushing. I could see where the ref was coming from. Yes, it was harsh, but after that, just and again, it's hard to come back from 10 men less and stuff like that. But like you said, Gasperini's a technical guy. He should have just jumped on his feet. It's like, okay, let's kind of switch this over. We're still in this game. Let's see what we can do here, and then go from there. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. Do you guys think that was a red card? Or again, was that too harsh?
That is a harsh, but that's not that. If you're Atlanta from this perspective, that's not why you should be complaining. I think that's not what killed him. Zapata getting injured killed him. Because when you remove him from the situation, the goals can't come from anywhere. Because Papu's not there to bail him out. And when Papu played poorly, Zapata always stepped up.
Piece gone.
So Zapata gone. They could like the penalty. Yes, the red card wasn't a red card. I don't think it was, but. Mm-hmm. A lot of Atlanta fans, I love Atlanta fans, but it's just they were crying robbery. You can't cry robbery when you have 2 shots in the whole game, none on target, and Real Madrid, who have half their team injured, have 19 shots, 4 on target, but they're at least putting the ball on the plate to do something. Atlanta didn't do much, after that, but I don't think it's a red card. But I think the talking point you really should look at isn't whether or not it was a red card or not, because I don't think it was, but. Whatever. It's the second Zapata got injured, I thought it was done because because the Real Madrid squad, being injured, I had picked Alonso to win 2-1, and I had Zapata scoring both of those goals because I thought he really could do something. But the second you eliminate basically Real Madrid's only problem, they had the luxury to take their time in getting that goal. And again, Real Madrid should be fairly lucky that they even got the goal at all. Because they should be feeling fortunate, but I think it's not about the red card. I think it's more or less about Zapata. And my thought is if Zapata can't go leg 2, it's already over. And I know it's only a 1-goal lead, but I just don't see another player on Atlanta being able to make up for what they're going to lack from Zapata being out. So not a red card, but I think Zapata being injured was much more of a big deal because I think Atlanta can win a game like that. Even if they're down to 10 men with Zapata, going. But once they lost him, it was over. I was hoping they would hold on for 0-0 and give themselves at least a small chance in the second leg. But more than the red card, I think Zapata's injury just kind of settled the whole thing.
Yeah. And Fabrizio, do you kind of agree with that? You think that's kind of a key point was the Zapata injury, or do you think that with that you think there's more to it as well?
Well, I think definitely there is a mean behind that, meaning that there's the Zapata out and that 10 men under, 1 man under, basically that did it, right? So it was very difficult to come back, plus the injury and so on, and the strategic part that I was mentioning before. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, it was basically, yeah, they kind of like made it very difficult for the second leg to it's not impossible, but still.
Still one goal, right? Yeah, no, for sure. Um, yeah, no, definitely for sure. And it's always kind of Gasparini with like the great post match interviews and what he said about the ref and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that was a joke.
Yeah,
I,
but that's Gasperini, right?
Yeah.
that's him though. That's the
I'm
thing.
not
He wins,
surprised at all.
yay, oh, and he loses. He's always it's like Inzaghi. Like again, I'm not trying to undermine any manager or anything like that. I just feel
No,
like
I
the
agree.
one thing
There are similarities.
is it's the similarities there. Like the one thing I like Gaspini. The only thing and Inzaghi too in a sense, but when they win, hoo ha ha ha, hoo yeah, and then when it's like a loss or something, it's like boom, the right away. It's like oh this stop and this stop. They're quick to not make excuses, but just have the negative aspects come out. It's like oh come on guys, like just take the heat and just move on. And just take each game as it is. So let's hope Atlanta can beat Real. It can happen. Who knows? I would like to see another Italian team go forward. Obviously, I'm not going to cheer for Atlanta the whole way through, but it'd be nice to see the kind of pull out of that situation. Um, Moving on to like one of the worst games I've seen in forever. I knew they were going to lose the Bayern Lazio game. Elliot, I know you're happy, and stuff like that. I knew coming into this game we were going to lose. I knew it. Like I mentioned in my last podcast, it was like I knew it. The only thing that really got me going, and again I know there's injuries involved. What are you doing coming into this game with a 3-5-2 when you're dealing with psychopaths on the field, with monsters, with gifted players on the like they're a beast in their own form. Like what
Yeah.
are you doing in that sense? And still leaving Patrick there. So I mean, right off the woodwork, you could see the Lazio tried a little bit, but it just faded. They're giving up the ball. The first goal was horrendous. He tried to be coming into
Horrendous.
the game
That's
was
horrible.
saying that I don't know if you guys saw this interview. I forget who was. I saw it from someone's page. I don't know who it was exactly. I did mention it in my last episode that along the not quote unquote just along the lines he said, "Oh, I dealt with Lewandowski before when I played him with Italy against Poland," and I'm thinking to myself, "Are you kidding me right now? That is a different Lewandowski in yes, get it, same player, but when you're playing with Poland, he's a different player. When he's playing with Bayern
Yeah.
Munich, he's a beast." So when he tried to be said that, plus he got the own goal, I was like, man, he's probably biting his tongue right now. He's like, oh, geez, like So I mean, what else could you guys take away from that game? I don't know. I think it was just Inzaghi. What he should have done was just instead of
Backfire.
yelling and screaming, yeah, yelling and screaming and doing his little antics, what he does. Don't get me wrong, I love Inzaghi, but he's got to cool it down a little bit. Try to get everyone back, and then try not to get to that four goal deficit. And now we're down a man in a sense too for the next leg. So it's like great. So I don't know if anybody can throw any else in there. By all means, I can take it. That's fine.
I
But
think
that's
I
I
think
just
it's
try to pull my out.
the way Inzaghi played the game is it's as if he'd never saw Bayern play before. That's kind of how he
That's
Thank
set
you.
up
true.
the whole thing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Like
Thank
you
you.
do understand that Lewandowski was like their third best player in that game. Like that's how, when your best player can or whatever one. There's so many good players on that team. When
Oh, so
because
many.
of all
It's
the weapons
ridiculous.
they have. I mean, when I saw the Leroy Sané move where you had like 5-year defenders around him and he just skated through, and then you looked at the body language and it just looked like they just didn't know what the heck was going on. But I think for me, it was,
Alberto too.
yeah,
Alberto
yeah,
was
for
like,
sure.
what's like? That wasn't a bird I saw in the field. Like gone. He was gone.
Yeah,
Like
and
yeah. Anyways,
for Bayern at least, I think they took their foot off the gas. They could have scored like 7 if they wanted to. But
oh
I
oh
think
yeah.
that Bayern understands that they don't need to humiliate if they don't want to. So they just took their goals and went with it. I thought the setup was wrong. There's barely a Lazio player that you can point to that did anything. And even when Lazio pressured, this quote unquote terrible Bayern defense looked pretty strong. So it's just, I just think a lot of this narrative about the Bundesliga just kind of killed itself based on the way it was approached. And people argued, oh, but Bayern are in good form. Yeah, but at the same time, they lost to a team in the top three the week before that, and they had a tough game the week before that as well. But it's just, I just think the attitude and the approach, and there wasn't a lot of fight once they started getting going. It was just an endless cycle. And I really think they could have got way more goals than they did. And Lazio's just, for me, it just started with the way they set up. I mean, this Bayern team scores more goals than practically anyone. They're the best team in the world by a large margin. And it's I mean, even like, you're obviously not going to go and beat them, but even if they had played for like a 1-0 or 2-1 loss, you can feel good going into the second leg, even though it's inevitable what will happen in Munich. But I just thought the approach was completely wrong, and they let Leroy Sané just run circles around them, and on the Coman run up for the second goal, and then on the own goal where basically Sané just ran through the length of the field, and I think it was Azerbi who stuck in the back of that. It's not his fault. He just made it impossible for anything to happen. And I don't think there's a situation where you play, even if you play differently, you still lose, but at least you come away from that match with like some sense of pride and positivity, where they played it all wrong and then they got kicked in the mouth.
Yeah, most definitely, and I'm sure Fabrizio, you can agree with that. I mean, you can agree that Lazio are a hot mess. Am I right? Like, I mean, there's no positive, like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were some definitely like strong errors from some individuals, from Musacchio, or like those also definitely made some problems to the team itself. When you arrived at when you're under 2 goals, that's going to be a lot heavier. Obviously, when you get that third one, which was like another one that you don't want to see that again, at that point, just kill them, right? Basically. So no, yeah. I mean, I have to say this: yes, for sure, Inzaghi did not plan it well. That's what it looks like, anyways, from the outside. But also, we're also looking at the squad, the current reigning champions and the world champions as well. So, I mean, having said that, 4-1 was quite heavy. Towards the end, the sad part was that there were at least a couple of possibilities of Lazio bringing back a little bit the score up, but unfortunately they didn't go through. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the way that kind of biscotti crumbles in a sense, right? I knew coming in this game it was going to be a tough one. I was just praying to God. It's like, okay, at least you guys lose 2-1 or just lose by like a very, very small margin.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't do that, and I mean, there's a lot of people to blame in this. It is what it is, but I knew the second they do the draws for the 16, right away, everyone just blasted my Instagram. Oh, see you later, guys. After so many years trying to get in, see you later. Ciao. Hasta la pasta. See ya. It's like, yeah, it is what it is, right? So
yeah, but to be fair, that would have been the case for most teams. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like
that's the point, yeah.
But I think they can. I think this Bayern team, can win the Champions League the next 3 years. Really, they're just. I think there's a significant separation between them and everybody else. There's no. I mean, you can lose with pride. If you lost a 2-1, it would almost feel like a victory. But obviously they could have scored way more than they did. And I thought
looking back,
looking back at it now, like some of the optimism that Lazio had, which is, I think they should have some optimism, but I felt like to a certain extent they should have kept it in a realistic place, where I saw people predicting like 2-2.
I don't know. When I saw that, I had to comment. I'm like, "Are you kidding?" Like, I'm a Lazio fan, and it's like I have to come into real terms. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where I'll say bad stuff about Lazio, but at the end of the day, I can't be myself in denial. I have to know when to give my club the gears. You know what I mean? I gotta say, like, I even told the guy, I'm like, dude, there's no way. Like, you gotta be like, gotta be real here. There's no
They
way.
did it without Thomas Muller too. Had he played,
well, that's the thing. Well, and this is the thing, and this is a player that people are saying that if he leaves, Dele Alli should replace him. Like, I don't think Mueller. I know. I forget what podcast it was. They're one of the guys, and I had to like say like, there's no way. Like anybody from the Bayern team, they're going to be really hard to replace, in my opinion.
Ali wouldn't even make the bench.
Oh, he would get hurt. You would step off the plane, trip over a paperclip, get injured. He's out for the season. Out for the season. That's it. Okay, so we'll jump into City action for the weekend. Spezia Parma 2-2. Another scrappy game. I think that Parma are really gonna have a tough time. I don't know. I mean, did your boy play at all? Your Ramon? Oh my! Come on! Are you kidding me?
I don't know if he played. But look, if you're gonna sign someone for 15 million who has more goals than the rest of your team combined, what's the point of spending that money if he's just gonna sit on the bench? And I'm mad because I thought it was a loan with a buy option. It's a straight purchase. So now they've become a thorn in my side for me. He had 17. I think he had 17 goals, 6 assists this season. If he stays in Romania, he wins Player of the Season. He's been wanted by a lot of clubs for the last couple of years, and this was exactly what Parma needed. They haven't played him very much, and then they haven't played the guy they got from Bayern Munich. That's how you solve your problem. Play the guys who they're high profile players that you just bought. But I'm just getting frustrated with him not being able to game time. You know, my national team isn't going to be in very many tournaments in my lifetime. Maybe a couple where they show up for a cup of tea and then they get eliminated immediately. So all I can hang my hat on is the individual players that we have, and he's exactly what Parma need, and they're not playing him. And I think it's partly because the coach maybe didn't sign him or something. But I don't know. It's just frustrating. And Parma is a club with history, and they should be doing better. But I can't. If they go down, I'm not going to feel sorry for them because the solution's sitting on your bench every single game, and you're not playing him. He hasn't even got a chance to show what he can do.
Yeah, I know, and I was excited when they need the
45 minutes in one game, and then outside of that, he's been playing like 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. I don't know. They just rely on Parmigiano cheese, Parma FC to waste some talent over there. Good job, guys. I don't know. I really hope he gets some playing time soon before the season ends. And yeah, quick thing. What do you guys think of the Juve Verona game? My God, it was neck and neck. Even pass accuracy, 78%. Yeah. Possession was really, really tight. I mean, obviously Juve with the slight advantage. For a second, I thought Juve were going to run with it, but I was like, there's no way. This is Verona. This is a team that's been giving other bigger teams a tough time. I've said before, I hope they push it for Europe. We talked about the last episode, Elliot, that them knocking out Napoli wouldn't be a bad thing for that Europa League spot. I'm hoping that happens.
I think,
I really do.
When I watch Verona, I think they're just a much better team. I just don't think they have as many points. Because Napoli has, on paper, they should be amazing, but when you watch them, they don't look that impressive. So I think just for the reputation and I think it would just be better if somehow Verona got into the Europa League, because I think they would, because the coach lost their 3 best players last year, and they still are at the same play. They're at the same, I don't know points, but they're in the same position in the league that they were last year without those 3. So.
I mean, 8 points are quite high to get back, right? So that's their biggest problem right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Because all you need is a 7th spot, basically.
Right. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think just the fact that Napoli just comes up short too often in games they should find easy, I think it's a possibility. But again, I think Napoli will still make the Europa League, but I still think there's a chance, but I think it's unlikely. But I'm hoping that Verona somehow makes it.
Well, right now, the interesting thing is we see a head-to-head with Verona and Sassuolo together. Keep in mind that also Sassuolo is 1 game less, so that we still don't know where that's going to go. But
that's true.
Yeah. But I got to say, though, this season, though, with these teams like that are, literally scrapping for, any piece of meat there is. And it's very interesting. Last season was kind of meh, and Verona was showing their signs, but now we have Sassuolo here. Unfortunately, they don't have the depth that they need. They've been kind of impressing, some teams. Yeah, they had a kind of a crummy couple games right here, but it's like, oh, where's this team coming from too now, right? And now it's all these bigger teams got to look down. It's like, oh, I got to worry about this club now. I got to worry about that club, and it's not the Serie A that we're used to seeing with obviously Juventus here, climbing the top of the table and looking down at us and whatever. Now we're looking at it like, a couple teams are like, oh, this is different now. These are different beasts running around. So,
Too
really
bad
good
that
to see.
Inter. Too bad that Inter didn't get that team that was going to give them trouble, right, on Sunday.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. That's a good right there. Moving on, Sampdoria Atlanta. Obviously, an easy game for Atlanta, 2-0. I said it, like, obviously, in other games they've been looking solid. Other games they've been looking shaky. Without Papu, I think now obviously it's safe to say that they're getting used to life without Papu. Unfortunately, because that guy was the leader of men. He got in there. He was a bulldog. That kid, he didn't care how tall that player was. He got in there. He passed the goal and stuff like that. So obviously Atlanta are still a threat. They're going to be a threat for a very long time. Obviously with Zapata being injured, it's going to be
I
a
thought they were
little
going to lose
dicey.
after that.
You really thought, yeah?
I thought
Okay,
they're
all
gonna
right.
maybe not lose. I thought they're gonna drop points just because. I just trying to think in my head. Yeah, am I really gonna put my faith in Rulanowski when Zapata's injured against a Sam
Yeah,
team that can turn it on? I mean, they are sitting
yeah,
in for a reason. So,
yeah,
so I thought maybe they'd drop points, but again, they turned it on
yeah,
and they when I least expected because with that I don't know. I just don't think they're as good without Zapata. But I'm a big fan
yeah.
of Zapata, so maybe that's just my personal thought
Well,
process.
well, that's the thing too. Everyone's like, okay, Zapata's gone. Okay, Muriel, he's going to be your next god and savior and everything
Yeah.
like that. Don't get me wrong, Muriel's good, but he's no Zapata. Like Zapata's like that guy's a beast. You know what I mean? And he gets hurt. It's
Yeah,
like
his
back to the
his
drawing board, guys.
his physicality and size,
It's
he's like the
crazy.
size of a bulldog, but runs like a cheetah. Um,
Exactly.
so like I just try to think about how like even someone like Van Dyke trying to mark someone like that would be difficult for most defenders.
Yeah,
So that's in every
yeah,
game. That's why I think that Atlanta always have a chance with Zapata there, but without him there, they don't have that element, and they have some nice players. Muriel's nice, but he's the type of striker that comes off the bench and scores goals, not the
Yeah,
one.
I
yeah.
was going to say the same thing. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. Super sub, I'd say. Um, so yeah, okay. Yeah, moving on to Cagliari and Croutons, aka Crotone. I like to call them Croutons. I don't know why. I just like doing that. 2-0. I really thought this was gonna come, even though Crotone are doing terrible.
Terrible.
Or I thought I like bad. I thought it was gonna be at least a draw, just because Cagliari is just a team that I don't know what's going on with them. They're just really doing really poorly at this time, and they got the red. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe, but they came up top, right? Udinese Fiorentina. Again, another loss for Fiorentina. I don't get what's going on with this
You know
Fiorentina
what's funny
team.
about that? Last
It's
week they looked
crazy, man.
last week
It
they looked like
is.
prime Barcelona, and then this week they
Yeah,
looked like for Fiorentina.
yeah. One step ahead and four steps back. And then they get the president, Mister, Rock over there, Mister
He needs to
New
shut up.
Yorker. He that guy too many times. He's too much, man. I don't know. I think that it's inevitable that Fiorentina need to go in the drawing back to the drawing board. They need to stop making these prolific, in their sense. They think it's like these huge signings that they make. With
They
Prince
should they,
Boateng,
they should hire Sarri.
Ribery. Yeah, they should, and they have the money for it. They're not. It's not like my manager who spends his money on Nutella and an airplane and says, "Oh, sorry, I don't have any money. I gotta stick with one guy forever. Sorry." I feel like Saudi would be a great fit for Fiorentina because they're desperate, and they're like, please teach us, like give us. And this president's gonna be like, okay, I'll shut my mouth. Just tell me what to do. Like, help us, please.
Yeah. Plus,
Um,
last week you saw how good they can be. If they could just play like that all the time, they'd
yeah,
be where Verona is right now. They'd be pushing Europe, but because
Absolutely, I agree.
they only play like that
yeah,
every 25 games, it seems like.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Again, Ribery obviously looks like he's going to Matza next season. If they, even if they qualify or don't qualify, whatever. I mean, sorry, get promoted to Serie A. I think Fiorentina need to focus on their youth. and just stop spending these money on these players that they don't need. You know, nothing against Ribéry or Boateng that used to play for Fiorentina, but you know what happened with Ribéry? He got injured for a super long time, and then you got Boateng. It's like, okay, he's all flash, he's all nice. Okay, let's
I
ship
don't
him
like
off to
Boateng,
Turkey
to
for
be
a little
honest.
bit. You know what? Let's ship him off to Turkey, and then he comes back. You know what? Let's sell him the matzo. There you go. Go mozzarella and cheese in City B with Balotelli. Let's go over there. So it's like they're kind of wasting the resources, right? So it is what it is. Napoli being Benevento, it's like they won the World Cup. I don't know why. I really thought
I was saying
Benevento.
exactly the same things. Like, why?
Thank you, Fabrizio. Yeah, I know. And Fabrizio, did you think that, well, any of you guys, I think that Benevento was going to give him a tough time. I literally thought it was going to be maybe not a victory for Benevento side, but at least a draw. At least a draw. Because we see this Benevento team, again, not as consistent as everybody wants them to be, but when they shine and stuff like that. So did you think it was kind of going to be a draw or still a Napoli win? Aside from the stupid celebrations that they did, like it's kind of getting ridiculous a little bit there.
Personally, I think that Napoli had to come back from all the last few games that they didn't perform well. So the concentration was there, and that was that's what I saw there, anyways. Benevento, as you said perfectly right before, like they have too many ups and downs. So sometimes they will show, and sometimes they're not going to show. And unfortunately for them, that was the case. How that celebration happened, I still don't get it. I still don't get it. It's like really like okay, but I don't want to make any Napoli fan angry for that, but I'm just talking about the individual player. So nothing against anything else. But
No, nothing against Napoli. No, no, no.
That's what
But
I get.
yeah,
I'm glad to cheer for Granada in the Europa League because of that stuff.
it's sad to I get it. Like it's just sad to see because you have Gattuso here. This guy's trying. He's trying his hardest. It's like, guys, come on, you gotta give me something to work with here. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like Gattuso is to me personally. I think he's a coach that doesn't get enough credit. Like you see what happened last year with the disaster. I don't think it was Ancelotti's fault. I think there was kind of a mutiny afoot of Napoli, and then Ancelotti's gone, and then you get Gattuso coming in. After experience with Milan, he wanted to stay and say, okay, let me see what's going on with Napoli, and then he takes his team to really good fashion, not great, you know what
He
I
won the
mean?
Coppa Italia, though.
That's what I'm saying. I was about to get it. He wins Coppa Italia, so and then coming this season, I just feel like the Napoli squad's not giving them that energy, that kind of passion in that sense, and they can point fingers all they want. I just feel like that something's needs to be changed quick. It's obvious that Gattuso is going to be sacked at the end of the season. I don't know if there's any way to save him at this point, unless anybody says differently.
unless they find anything in the locker room where there's something happening among the players, like that mutiny also tells you different things too, right? So that's telling
right.
that there's some older players that have been there for a while that are probably having too much power.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
No, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, uh, for like Callihan, I know he was making some issues, last season and stuff like that, and he's been kind of a Napoli for a while, and Napoli kind of solved that problem. But we look at Martins, and I mean, I don't know about you guys. Like, I don't know if Martins got Tuzo, there's an issue, or because obviously Martins has a heavy influence in the locker room with Napoli on or off the pitch. We see the videos, we see how he's connecting even with Koulibaly too. So I mean, there's got to be more behind the scenes, right? And from
Exactly.
Fabrizio made a good point there. I mean, if there's something in that locker room that can be fixed and it comes with the good results, okay, good, fine, you're safe, right? Other than that, it's dicey at
Yeah,
that point.
no, I just think it's a troubling situation, and it's what's happening at Napoli this season is not necessarily Gattuso's fault. I actually go back a couple years. I think they should have sold Koulibaly when he was they were offering like 90 million for him or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
100%.
Prime. Yeah.
And
100%.
it's
Yeah.
like I kind of look some comparison to Bellotti in Torino when he had one great season with 26 goals, and then they had some high value offers and they didn't cash in on it. I think Napoli kind of are suffering from the same thing where they didn't cash in on Kaluli to sort of I don't know what I'm saying here, to spread it out throughout the squad and I think they would be in a much better position had they done that. Obviously, he probably didn't want to leave, and that's probably why it didn't happen. But I think certainly what's happening at Napoli now isn't his fault. And if they get rid of Gattuso, which they probably will, I don't know who they're going to get that's better. They would have to like soul search to find someone. I mean, Allegri's out there, but he's never going to go to Napoli and things like that. And there's some other coaches that become available, but I find it hard to believe that.
What about a return?
Yeah, to get a better return than what Gattuso.
No, I mean, what about the return?
What do you mean?
Of Sarri.
Oh, that makes sense to a certain.
There has been rumors, like I've seen some reports here and there about it, some early whispers. That'd be okay. I wouldn't mind that. But again, it's
two of the best. He had two of the best teams I've ever seen in Serie A, at least in the last couple of years. I think Sarri's a winner. Even though he hasn't won, he wins the Europa League, he gets fired. He wins Serie A, he gets fired. I just feel bad for the guy. I'd be interested in Sarri if Fonseca goes, but I think it works for Napoli. So you would think Sarri's going to get a job at some level.
Oh, he will. He will. He won't be jobless. He won't be jobless unless no, he won't. There's no. I think he's safe for a job. He'll be employed for sure. He's got to quit smoking though. It's getting a little ridiculous. I think all the players are getting sick and tired of the secondhand smoke though, for sure. But no, I think he's gonna get a job for sure.
Hey, if he wins the club, whatever club he's on trophies, then I don't care anyway.
Yeah. Hey, fuma, fuma fa bene.
Whatever works.
Anyways, whatever works, exactly. We will touch on obviously Bologna Lazio. I don't even want to talk about this game. I mean, coming into this game, Bologna Lazio, like, come on, man, what are you doing? Again, it's the tactics that are just driving me nuts. This is a cold cut team, literally, that you can win. Like, no problems. I can't give Inzaghi any excuses. He should have won, period. Even with the Sampdoria match last week, they won. They made it seem like they won every cup in the world, and it was 1-0. And this mindset needs to change. And, of course, Inzaghi's got a trick up his sleeve, an excuse up his sleeve, and changes need to be made.
We were supposed to believe that Lazio team was going to give Bayern Munich trouble. I just, after watching Bayern game and then that game, I'm trying to think of how anyone thought that this team was going to really, you know what I mean? And I'm only missed the penalty. He hasn't played that well lately.
Yes.
But that's a Bologna team that Roma had scored 5 goals in 45 minutes, and at the beginning of the season, they were just giving goals away for fun. And you can't even get one past them. It was just, I think it was just a disaster.
Yep. And again, I think that he needs to really sit down and say, okay, listen, this isn't working. Obviously, I have injuries. Okay, I may have to call someone back to fill up a full back position. I got to put more in the back. I've been getting heat like left, right, and center this past week. People are saying you can't play in 4 in the back. You can't play in 4 in the back. It's like, well, how do you know though? Like this 3 isn't working at the back. Like you need some good, technically beast monsters of players in the back, and it's not working.
You have to be able to adjust too, because remember last year, Roma I think they had lost 3 straight using 4 at the back, and then they changed it, and then the rest of the season they were on fire. So I think changing a formation like that. I'm sorry to bring up my own team as an example, but
no, go.
You look at that. If you all of a sudden start putting 4 at the back or whatever you want to do. What's the harm? You're playing really poorly, at least the last couple of games. You have to do something to jumpstart that momentum. And with what happened with Roma last year, they lost to Udinese. It was one of the worst Roma games I've ever seen. Then they changed it against Napoli, where they lost only because of a free goal. And then the rest of the season, they were kind of much, much, much better team. So for Lazio, changing the formation maybe say you can say, maybe it won't work, but maybe it will. So why
you gotta try? You don't know, you don't try.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I got like 50 comments on my Dumb and Dumber post I put about Inzaghi and Claudio. Like huge. They gave me a tough time, and I was like, man, you gotta do some changes. You can't live on this. Oh well, we won Coppa Italia on that formation. Buddy, that was in 2019. That was a different time, man. This is now. I don't care. Oh, we went 23 games unbeaten. That doesn't matter. This is now. This doesn't matter. Like it's just it blows my mind. These I'm a Lazio fan too, so I'm allowed to talk a little smack to my own brethren. There's
Yeah.
you got it, and I'm sure Fabrizio and Ellie, like there's times where you guys say, okay, enough's enough. Like I have to, give my club some gears a little bit. You know what I mean? You can't live in this fantasy of oh they're gonna do well. Don't worry. No, it's not.
Let me actually ask you
So
a question, if you don't mind. What do you
go
see?
ahead.
How do you see tomorrow's game? So we're talking about Lazio Torino.
So funny you say that. Posted something on our story. Apparently, with the new strain, I think there was an outbreak in Torino. So
So they're not
flying
going to
over
play.
there, if Torino don't show up, we get the 3-0 win. Now, having said that, I'll be super upset. As a Lazio fan, I'll
Yeah,
be really
I don't
upset
like that.
because
Not
I
under
don't
this.
like that at all. I wanna face this Torino team, regardless where they are at the table. I always think that Torino's a good team with Belotti and those guys. They fight hard. Okay, yes, they not having the best season, but I swear, if I open my phone and I get a result, like the phone's going across the room because that's not fair. Because
Yeah.
now you're gonna get the percentages of these fans like, yeah, we got the 3 points. Those 3 points for me, I won't even count them. I'll deduct 3 points every time I see that table. I'll deduct 3 points. To
Yeah.
me, that's not
No,
fair.
no,
I
sorry.
want to play.
I agree 100% with you. If it does happen, I don't want to hear anyone say, "Yay, we got the 3 points." Those are not three
Yeah,
points well
no,
deserved.
exactly. No, I don't want to. Yeah, and yeah, I don't want to hear because yeah, okay, we may have the rest if you want to say for because we have a kind of a tough schedule up again. But again, I'd rather play Torino because we're too of a good team in a sense to just sit at home and just get okay. Here's 3 points for you. Like we're not just a mediocre team. We're Lazio, and this is Torino. We should treat these guys with respect as well too. So yeah, I would be super upset if we'd get the 3 points handed to us for
Yeah,
sure.
and that's
Definitely.
happened. What? That's like the third game in which there was on the verge of the
Oh, I know Juventus were happy when they got the points from Napoli when they first came.
Oh,
win.
that
I
was
know
horrible.
Juve were happy.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
horrible.
Verona. I don't think Verona even celebrated when they got the
no,
three.
Verona. I know Verona made it quite clear they were kind of upset about that whole situation.
Yeah.
But Juve, oh, they were thrilled. The fans were jumping for joy. They were thrilled. They were like, there you go. I get it. It's Napoli. It's one of your rivals. But come on, guys, like push a little harder. And I'm surprised no one. I get okay, players. Maybe I'm talking too much fantasy here, but
Yeah,
if I was a Juventus player, I would get on Instagram and I don't care if I get fined or I don't play, whatever. I would say no. I want to play you guys. I want to like I would push hard. I don't
Let's
know.
do it on the
Pirlo
park on
too.
Sunday. I mean, just
Yeah, FIFA Street. Let's go. I don't care. Points or no points. I want to play you guys.
yeah.
Like I just feel like these COVID regulations are. I get they're trying to keep everyone safe, but this whole point system
They should just
rewarding
reschedule
players
it.
for reschedule them and don't reward any points. If you're gonna reward points, as bad as this sounds, okay, one each. That's it. But to give someone 3 points, no, no, I don't agree with that. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. So, um, okay, so we'll save the Roma Milan for last, and then we'll finish up with that game. Let's talk about Genoa and Inter. Okay, Fabrizio, before I get into this game here, I gotta say, Genoa, what a club! You guys have been so out of all the clubs I've seen in this kind of season, I think you guys have been the most proactive in a sense of you guys been giving bigger teams a tough time. Yes, I get you guys been fighting in the bottom a little bit, but you guys are well enough for safety in a sense
Oh,
where you
they're
guys,
already safe. I feel like
yeah, they're safe.
outside
But
of maybe Roma, I think they're probably the biggest overachievers of the season because I
yeah,
thought Genoa's always been a team where I thought they're not good enough to survive, but they always somehow survive anyways. So this
it's the
season,
horseshoes, man. It's
I
the
just
horseshoes they put
figured
in their sleeves.
this season it was going to finally catch up with them, and then they started really poorly, and then I don't know what happened. They must have put some in the water supply over there. They just started
Yeah,
winning and winning and
yeah,
winning and winning and winning,
yeah.
and I love to see it because my thing is I don't want. I either want Sampdoria and Genoa both in the league or neither in the league because you can't have the derby without
Oh, the derby's amazing.
So
Oh, Genoa
I
for
wanted to
those
go
guys are
ahead there. So
amazing.
I'm actually really happy that they've done so well, and they've given some pro. I think they were one of the first teams to take points off Milan at the beginning of the season. And I mean, I just think they're always a tough out regardless. But Inter is Inter.
Yeah. Were you happy for Visa with the kind of collection you guys made over the transfer market? Again, you guys, I got to say, you guys were the most proactive club in the transfer market. How did you feel about that? Did you feel it was kind of good deals, or were there kind of players that you wanted still? And or if there was any more players you wanted to get rid of, what players would they be? Like if let's say you were the manager and you're kind of talking, let's say you were Zio and you're in the boardroom and say, okay, these are the players that I'd want, these are the players I don't want, and I'm happy with the players who we got, yes or no? Kind of,
Now, are we talking about the January transfer market, right?
yeah. Let's talk about January. Like if you wanted to add the summer, okay, but I feel
No,
like
no.
January that was kind of the
Let's
bulk
talk
of
about that one. Yes. Well,
yeah.
because there's a little bit of history there. The reason why, I mean, one of the major reasons why that are quite obvious, besides the fact that unfortunately Genoa got this label, for rightfully so, mind you. The fact of, as I said, just like they were like catching up with them, and it almost seemed like this would have been the year that would have been relegated and so on. But it's all, I mean, this background that I'm just giving, I'm building it up to what I'm trying to say. I apologize for that. But basically,
No.
all these experience that the president has been doing in the past years, and all these bad choices and experiments when it's not the right time to do it. And that was a prime example of also what happened during the summer by signing the sports director from Parma, Fagiano, and how he took sort of control in a very forceful way, demanding the Italiano. I don't know if you guys were following that, so it was almost like a done deal. And then just last minute, then of course Spezia coming up in Serie A, then obviously that didn't happen. So, guess what? You're not going to get the coach that where you built your team around. You're going to have to find another one, and then you get with the second choice. So that was not even a difficult choice. In my opinion, also for Moran to accept such a job. So sure, we saw the first game against Crotone where we saw this Genoa 4-1. It seemed like, oh wow, like an amazing starting of the season, and then this whole COVID situation came because, if I have to be honest, that Genoa Napoli Genoa actually. It was basically Napoli against no one, basically, because the players were basically already infected and so on. But nevertheless, then that happened. Then they had all the chances in the world to come back, and they didn't. Whether that was some mutiny inside the squad, I don't know. And to your question, like, okay, what happened there? The fourth spell now, Ballardini is showing you that every time that Ballardini comes to Genoa, he does the job. He knows the area. He knows the team. He knows the club. He knows the city. Everything. And honestly, I can tell you that we were cheering for him to come since he was sacked 3-4 years ago. So, anyways, who would have I signed? Some people say the papers were saying that just the fact of keeping Scamacca was a big sign itself. Personally, I personally think that once the kid got this the idea or the rumors around Juventus and so on, we didn't see the Scamacca that we saw in the first half of the season. So after actually it was the Italian under 21, I think that he did his last amazing game, and after that we didn't see anything. So personally, I think that what they call keeping Scamacca was the signing. I think that was the missed out. Who could have they got instead of him? Well, there were so many rumors. Unfortunately, Genoa is always, because of the person, labeled with this team that has they put like 100 players matching up to the club up until the end of the market seasons and so on. Probably Piontek. I don't know. It's a tough one also because under COVID, it's very difficult also to sign. A lot of these signings are all on loans and stuff like that. But Piontek, I probably could have seen because he wasn't at that point, wasn't doing that great at Bertha.
Terrible.
Well, there was rumors that like he was gonna, sorry to interrupt, but there was reports saying, oh, he's on his medical, he's on his way. The deal's going to be complete the next couple of days. The next thing you know, it's like everyone's scratching their head. And all the Genoa fans are like, hey, where's the guy? You know what I mean? So that was just crazy. That was nuts. I was really hoping he'd come back. Really, I was really banging on that for sure.
Personally, I think Juve had a say in there to say, okay, you still keep Scamacca, so keep it there. So you're gonna still, I don't know, nest him and prepare him for us and so on. I don't know. That's just an opinion, but we will never know something like that. Now, in regards to the Inter game, well, what can I say? That was just a training game for Inter. I wish that they had a little bit more presence and a little bit more trust in themselves, because honestly, I think just what it was there, the lack of trust. Even though the squad has been showing the true potential, the signing of Strootman was basically probably I would call one of the best in the January transfer market for Serie A. Roma fans better than I do will remember him forever.
Yep.
So, and actually, it was very also nice to see the cheering from the Roma fans just to see him back in Serie A.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. I was.
So, comments on that game, I probably better not, because there's no reason, really, no reason. When you get a score from the super striker of Serie A after 33, 44 seconds, whatever that was, that already kills you right off the bat. Looking at the team that basically should be the one winning the championship this year, where we see Milan that was up there up until now, but ultimately on the paper, it's an interesting. Having said that, I wish it was more like a game similar to what Genoa did with Juventus in Coppa Italia, where it was difficult for Juve to pass, right? But that didn't happen. But most of the concentration, as everybody's saying anyways, is towards the day after tomorrow for the derby.
Yeah, I mean, you said I was hoping, like, I knew that the result was going to go Inter's way. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to see it. I was hoping that Genoa would be like, okay, can we get at least a tie? Like, come on.
I know.
And then after the 40, like that, like you said, after a couple seconds, like, darn, But I'm still kind of rooting for Genoa. Obviously, they're safe and stuff like that. It's funny you talk like the January transfer window. There was like weird rumors like Jack Wilshere might be playing for them, and then you had Mario Lamina, who was a Juventus player, Southampton, Galatasaray. Now he plays for Fulham. That I was interesting to see. I was like, oh, maybe Genoa could pull this off, but the Jack Wilshere one, I'm like,
That's not
like forget about.
I know.
Yeah, forget about Genoa. What about Serie A? I don't see him playing in Serie A at all. Like I thought he would go to Rangers or whatever. Obviously, he went back to one of his former Bournemouth there in the championship. You know what I mean? So really weird to see. But yeah, no, Genoa I gotta say one of the proactive clubs in this league, and I hope they stay up for many years to come with Sampdoria, of course. Like they're a combo deal. Even though you guys are rivals, I just at the end of the day they need to stay together.
Yeah.
And it's not for sure. Last game but not least, Elliot, I know you're really upset about this. Roma and Milan. Oh, just what a game! I literally thought this game was going to be another 2-2 draw.
Me too.
I really thought because they're very in the habit of drawing 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. These are the games I really enjoy, and I can't wait. I'm marking the calendar Roma Milan, because they're so scrappy, and I love the goals. And I don't say unfortunately Milan got the win. The events were kind of unfortunate, obviously Milan needed that win. But yeah, what did you guys think of that game? I mean, Elliot, like what was kind of going through your mind from beginning to end?
I don't think there's any issue losing to Milan. I think for the majority of that game, they were the better team. I have an issue of how we lost that game, and so I want to give Milan credit. They for a good portion of the game, they were the better team. I wouldn't say by a large margin. Our first 20 minutes was terrible, and while I was watching the first part of the game, it's just like that's why we always lose to the big teams. Is we're too passive, we're not aggressive enough early, and again, it's hard to win games when your center backs are Fazio and
I was crazy.
Constante. You know what I mean? So I kind of, when I saw the lineup, I'm like, okay, we'll probably lose this one just because I can't imagine a back three with Fazio involved being able to stop Ibrahimovic from scoring goals. And then, they get that penalty, the first penalty, and I don't mind them getting that. I think that's fair, but it's definitely a foul. Although it looked like the foul took place on the line, which would have, under other circumstances, should have been a free kick from that spot rather than a penalty. I think it was too close to call it in that way. Again, I'm not crying about it. But when I saw it, I was a little surprised that it was, because they looked at the VAR review, and I thought it was going to be if it's a free kick or not, and where the spot was, and it looked like the spot was like right on the edge of the box. So I think it was a free kick, but they gave it a penalty. I didn't whine or cry about it. It's fine. Obviously, Frank Kessie scores. I actually thought Zlatan was going to take it, but that's all right. So they take the lead, and I'm still thinking with 45 minutes to go. Roma typically sometimes can respond very well to conceding, and that's exactly what we did. Veretout scores on a counterattack, basically 5 minutes into the second half. Becomes I think he and Michel Platini are the only French players to ever score 10 goals in a season or something like that. So that's cool for him. I thought he was really good. I think he's been amazing for Roma. One of the best box-to-box midfielders that we have, at least this season. I think kind of flying under the radar. I doubt he'll be in anybody's team of the season, but I just really think he's been that good this season. It's been his best season, and not all of his goals are coming from penalties. He scored a lot of goals in open play, so that was really good. Then Roma make a mistake. The back line poorly marks the goal, and the line go up 2-1. And then Roma, I think, from that point, kind of outplayed Milan the rest of the way. Mkhitaryan gets a great chance with like 10 minutes to go. Hits it at Donnarumma.
Oh, yeah.
Donnarumma makes the save. Mkhitaryan tries to get the ball, and Theo Hernandez drags him to the floor. No VAR review, no call, and that's where I have an issue. That's why I call it a quote unquote robbery, because if we're given that penalty and we score, it's a point. And because of that singular call, that's why we didn't at least have an opportunity to. Yeah, who knows? We score the penalty, and then maybe someone scores in the 90th minute to beat us, but we could have got at least a point from that. And the issue is, it wasn't just, okay, it was a clear penalty. He's being dragged to the floor. Not checking it is bad, but they called a foul on the guy being dragged to the floor rather than Hernandez is literally trying to drag him down. And it's just so disappointing because we're so bad against teams in the top six. And that gives us, if that happens, then we get a point in that game. But again, we probably deserved a point. I don't think we deserve to win. And if Milan beats us any other way, I can take it on the chin. But I was really upset. And I usually, after the game is over, because I'm a writer, so I need to kind of be unbiased when I do my material. So when I stopped, after yesterday's game, I was still mad this morning, which usually is unparalleled for me. By the second day, I'm done. Like when we lost the derby to you guys, when we got crushed, by that Monday, I wasn't mad anymore. I was just sort of in the zone, and so to lose like that and the way we lost like that, and for that not to be given, I think it was really disappointing. And it's the worst possible way to lose a game. Again, Milan played well; they deserved to get a point. But I thought I think we deserved an opportunity to at least try to get something. And now, again, like I said, now my mentality is let's try our best to finish in the top five. But if we have the capabilities, I want to just go for the Europa League and try to win that, because especially with Atalanta now 2 points ahead, and if you had won, we would have been in an even more vulnerable situation. So my mentality is like just finish ahead of Lazio and win the Europa League, and then we're fine.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, hey, that's always the end of the day, right? It's always us kind of finishing above one another and stuff like that.
We're not winning
every year,
so it's just like
no, we're not winning. Nope.
I really enjoy that 9-year stretch of we always finished above you guys, and just for you to get that one and then us to overtop it especially given a team that never wins against the big teams. So that's what I want. I would just like to finish. I'd like to get fifth if we can't. I still want to get top four, but I don't want to kill ourselves trying to do it. I would rather kill ourselves trying to win a trophy than kill ourselves getting top four and doing it that way. But
we can donate one of ours to you guys.
What's that?
We can donate one of our cups to you guys. It's still in Rome. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I would rather win it. I would rather with him of our own accord. I just realized this year that Roma are never going to win the Coppa Italia again because every
Oh
time,
yeah, no, Coppa
just
Italia.
because I have to be somewhat optimistic. For the last 5 years straight, I've picked Roma to win the Coppa Italia just because I knew we weren't going to win the league and we weren't going to win anything in Europe. So that was the one thing I could hang my hat on. But obviously, tough game. I think when we move on, we move forward. Again, we played poorly in the beginning, but we should have got a point in that game. But it is what it is. I think we're still in range, but I think that I don't know. We have to do our best to make the Champions League, but my mind is I want to win the Europa League. I think it's more important than finishing fourth at this moment, just because. Yes, it maybe actually getting fourth might be easier, but given there's no Sevilla in the Europa League, if we beat Shakhtar, all's left is Man United for us, and maybe Ajax. And I think so. Again, I want them to try to make fourth, but the Europa League to me just has a little higher level of importance at this moment, especially considering. Look, if we have 4 points in against top six teams, then we don't deserve top four anyways. So finish fifth, win the Europa League.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's it. And Fabrizio, what do you think of the game? What you got out of the game? Do you think that it was kind of gonna be a win? Like obviously Milan needed the win, but of course we have always got this Roma that, especially this season, they're giving teams a tough time. Not I wouldn't say obviously the bigger teams, but again, like I was hoping for a draw. Were you hoping for a draw? We were hoping kind of like more of a win from Milan or Roma. What did you kind of think of the game altogether?
Well, deep inside, I thought that Milan would pull it out at the end. It was just like a gut feeling, nothing more than that. Ultimately, if I had to analyze the game, I would have thought in a draw, possible 2-2 sounded quite right too. But at the same time, the biggest disappointment, and we've said that throughout of this year from Roma, is losing against the big ones. So if you want to do what you need to do, you have to win against the big ones. Against the other ones, it's easier, right? If you're up there. So that's where you actually make the difference. And that's where Roma is lacking this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the interesting thing about this whole thing is it's always been like, oh, we lose to Torino, we lose to Cagliari, we used to all these like middle of the table teams all the time. And now this season, we're beating everyone we usually struggle against, but we just can't beat anybody in the top six, and that's the problem. And again, I don't think you can put this totally on Fonseca. He's overachieved. This team, I saw people have them finishing in seventh or in sixth and stuff like that, and so I think we've overachieved. But again, that's the only thing, and I don't like to think about it because if we get half of the points against the top six, we probably are in first place. So it's just really infuriating to go like that, but. I think it's eventually Roma will figure this out and start picking up more points against the big teams. But for this season, I think that's.
What do you think is the biggest problem from Roma with respect to the big teams? Is it the team? Is it the coach? Is it the mentality?
So I like the team that we have. I don't necessarily think that we have in any of these games against big teams. We don't have the better team. In most cases, I think that's part of it. Part of it is the approach. We got slapped around by Napoli and stuff like that. But the game that bothers me the most isn't this one or a lot of them. It's the game against Atalanta where we had scored in the opening. I think 5 minutes, and then Atalanta scored 4 goals in 25 minutes, and we were the better team until that happened. And then it's complacency in those situations, like. I feel like Roma, to a certain extent, not in this game and not in the games against Juventus, but when we concede after we've been in front or something like that, or just concede in general, we lose our sort of mentality and we lose our winning attitude, and it just falters, and then we become complacent and it just kind of collapses. So I think you can say, okay, the formations, or not the formations, the substitutes in these games haven't always been the best. But I think it's just once the other team starts to get some momentum, for the most part, a lot of our players just lose the confidence to be able to turn it around. I think Jordan, for the most part, has played well in all these games, which isn't really like a big deal because everyone else hasn't. But we usually have 1 or 2 players that really put it together. But it's not losing 4-0 to Napoli. It's losing to Atalanta in being ripped apart in 25 minutes. That's the stuff that bothers me, and that's what I think the issues with Roma is having more conviction and belief and continuing to go after and fight for it. And I'm not saying Roma don't fight, but it's just to a certain extent when you're getting ripped apart that easily, there's just certain things that need to change. So I don't know if it means we need to change a manager. I don't know if we need probably better players, but something needs to give because we can't be losing. If you're losing to the big teams, you lose to the big teams. It's the way we lose to the big teams that bothers me more than anything else.
Right.
Yeah. Alrighty. Okay. And no, good point. And one thing I gotta say before we go, the half of the side of the Roma fans that talk trash or talk bad about Jordan, they're insane. Because I think he's just it just blows my mind because this guy is, again, I said it in a couple episodes, like, hey, why don't you seek this guy like a vice captain role or something? Because this guy when he
We're
comes
so
on the field,
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
no,
We're
no,
so
go, go, go.
divided. Half of the fan base thinks he's like the best player on the team. I'm included with that. Mkhitaryan's having a better season. I think
Yeah,
Jordan's
no,
the
of
best player.
course.
And I don't
course.
think it's actually that close. And then the other half of the team or the fan base thinks people like Diawara and VR should start over him. So it's completely divided.
Oh, that's insane. Diawara, that's insane.
Yeah, I think Jordan is Roma's best player over the last, let's just say the last year. Last year I gave him player of the season, and people like ripped me to shreds for it. I mean, it's not just his okay, the penalties, I get that, but he scores open goals. He's very involved in the counterattacks. He also drops back occasionally and can get the ball, and I think when he has space in the ball at his feet, he's almost unstoppable in terms of having a component like that in the counterattack. I just wish we had like another piece like that inside it, like Jordan with like Castrovilli or Jordan with Rodrigo de Paul. I think Roma would be that much better, but I think Jordan is, he's great, and I think he's the type of player that I think will stick it out in the long haul from Roma. I can buy a Jordan jersey without being worried about, oh, is Liverpool going to come and get him, because he's underrated so much so that he's even underrated to Roma fans. So he's a lot better than people give him credit for, and nobody's sniffing around. So no, but as you said, he's been amazing, and that goal that he scored, even though it was in a losing effort, was unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree, 100%. So yeah, I hope Jordan doesn't leave at all. Okay, guys, this concludes our episode of the Calcioteers. Fabrizio, grazie mille. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, I gotta say, Forza Genoa, obviously they're gonna stay up.
Yeah.
And best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Okay. All right, guys. Till next time. Ciao, guys.
Okay, ciao.